Hey guys, welcome back to the Full Show. Of course, I am Foolish Phil. Just wanted to give you some of my thoughts after Michigan gets obliterated by Penn State, 81-63. The score of 22 points wasn't even as close as it indicates. It was a closer game than it really was. Michigan just got crushed after about the first 16 minutes of the first half. Really, the first half was up to the 8-minute mark or 4-minute mark in the game. It was like the Jet Howard versus Pickett game. It was like they were going back and forth. Both guys were like 6 of 6, 7 of 7 in that range, both in double figures. I think Pickett had tied his season average of 17 points. He had that in the first half. Jet Howard started off on fire. He finished with, I think, 16 or 17 points in the first half as well. He had to rest, obviously, coming off his ankle injury he sustained last week. And once he sat down, he had a couple more shots, but that was kind of it. But really, there's a few things I just gotta say here. One, it's hilarious how worthless Hunter Dickinson is for Michigan. I know people double him, and he passes the ball out, and then Michigan usually misses their shots. Or, in this game, they even go single, and he still can't do anything. So it's interesting how a junior who has got 3 years of Big Ten experience under his belt is pretty worthless in this game. And to make it even more funny is that Hen is a forward trying to guard him, and Hunter finally scores on him, say, 10 minutes into the game, and then Hunter coming back up the court puts his hand down oh, he's too small to guard me. You know what, Hunter? Yeah, I guess he's too small to guard you, but you're too slow and dumb to guard him, if you will. You don't put your hand up as he drains 2 3-pointers in a row on you and ends up with 8 points in the first half compared to your 4. So, great that you had to tell him he's too small to guard you. You didn't take advantage of that at all. You went 2 for 7 in the first half. 2 of 7 against smaller lineup Penn State. So, keep your stupid little hand movements to yourself. I'm just saying, it looks really dumb when you're saying that they can't guard you, but you can't guard them with anything either. So that's just kind of frustrating that you have him as your quote-unquote leader. If T. Will's also kind of your leader, your 2 juniors. They don't really have that in them, and I don't want to come down on them too much because they're being asked to be what they are. They're not motivational leaders of the team. Michigan really had that with Eli Brooks. You had that with Chauncey Brown Jr., just his energy he came in with and such. Michigan doesn't have that, So it is what it is. It was actually a tight game. It was 31-30 with about 4 minutes, 4:09 to go in the first half, and then Penn State went unconscious. They hit there's 6 straight field goals, and 5 of them were 3-pointers, and the other one was a 3-point play. So there goes your 18-0 run over the last 4 minutes. Michigan got a layup in there to make it 18-2 at the end of the first half. To be, I think it was 49-32 at halftime, and that was basically the game. Just to cement that even more so, Michigan comes out in the second half and gives up 8 points to 2. So already you're into 20 points, and it was basically coast from there. Penn State averages 11 3-pointers per game. They got 13 in this game. It could have been a complete bloodbath, but for whatever reason, the Penn State 3-point shots, wide open as they were, stopped falling about halfway through the second half. Michigan was down by 32 points, and fortunately in that way, it didn't get into 40 to 50 point loss, which easily could have, but Penn State just started missing their wide open shots. A loss was a loss. I knew this was going to happen. So the question becomes twofold now. How does Michigan respond from this? And I'm guessing they're just going to crash and be trash, but because you don't see the leadership from this team. You don't see the coaching staff being able to coach them up in any way, shape, or form. It's almost like Michigan's spending all their time working on their offensive sets in practice, that their defensive sets are just completely not done at all. Because the same backdoor screens and everything just keep getting easy looks for them. Then you have your just fundamentals too, where guys closing out on 3-point shooters don't even put the hand up in their face, just leave it down. I mean, Hunter did that on Hen's second 3-pointer. I'm like, put your hand up. Certainly the breaks didn't go Michigan's way, but they weren't going to win this game. When Penn State goes 7 of 15 from 3-pointers in the first half, it's like, no, man. When a team's shooting that good, you're not going to win. just look back at Michigan a couple weeks ago. They started off on absolute fire and blew out Maryland, right? So how did Maryland respond? That's why I want to see, how does Michigan respond after a loss like this? Maryland, to their credit, they've gone 4-3 since that loss. Will Michigan play 500 the rest of this season? Probably not. I mean, there's a good question. Will this team even be above 500? Because they haven't even played the toughest part of their schedule yet. I know they played number 1 Purdue, but, you know, the Big Ten is, well, I guess now that I think about it, their schedule after Purdue, I think, has no ranked teams. I mean, obviously that goes up and down each week as teams might go up in the rankings and such. But as I remember, Michigan had no more ranked teams on their schedule, and yet they still won't find a way to finish with a winning record. And it's just, I know there's a couple writers who, or responders to my blogs who just like wonder how long will Coach Howard survive. And I think you just got to look at a few things. I think he'll survive this year for 2 reasons. One, Warden Manuel doesn't do anything quickly. We know that as Michigan fans. And he tries to hold on to his coaches for probably longer than he should. And just look at Mel Pearson last year in hockey. And then you also have that, you have the Llewellyn injury, you have a young team, and this is Michigan's first dumpster fire of a season since Howard came in. Now, if Howard has another bad season next year, yeah, then I think you really do have to look at a coaching change, because really the team has been on a downward trajectory ever since John Beilein kind of screwed him over, to be honest, quitting in May, you know, after the basketball transition time, coaching carousel had all happened. So there were not a lot of coaching options for Michigan to choose from then. So, as much as I like Beilein and what he did for Michigan, that really gave the middle finger to Michigan. They're like, quitting that late in the cycle. So that really hurt there for sure. What is this team going to do? I'm also really wondering Howard. Why didn't he go to the bench more? So if you're still watching this thing, if you're Coach Howard, what do you value now? Those last 10 minutes of meaningful game time there. Should the starters be in and working on sets and working on fundamentals? Or should it just be like, you know what, you guys are playing like trash, let me empty my bench and let them play, and maybe they'll play harder. I'm more of the secondary. I wanted to see the bench get emptied and see if those guys were willing to play. The first thing I saw, Terrace Reed Jr. went in there, dove for a loose ball, caused a jump ball. Great. Seen some rebounds, seen some stuff. I know Michigan wasn't going to come back. I'm sure Penn State wasn't playing as hard either. But it's like, put in some guys that are going to put in some effort. It was interesting, as a matter of fact to me, that Penn State kept their starters into the 30-second mark of the 30 seconds to go in the game. And I got to give, I know the intensity wasn't there. I get it. But Jace Howard shut down Pickett for a few possessions there. Terrace Reed Jr. was doing some good stuff. I'm just saying, I wish those guys, and I know I would have rather seen Cheddar play a little bit more in the first and second half too. And Jace Howard finishes, I think, with 6 points. He played the first and second half. I would have liked to see the bench used more when the team was playing so badly. So at least, Hunter didn't play the last probably 10 minutes. Jet Howard got out of there the last 8 minutes or so. So I'm just up in air about Coach Howard. He seems to really struggle with his player rotation, with his recruiting. He doesn't seem to be able to land good shooters. I know Jet Howard's a really good shooter, but Michigan, besides that, I mean, we're not getting much out of him. Or does he not play his own recruits? Cheddar, all the guys on Isaiah Barnes and such. Why are those guys not playing? I mean, obviously I'm not in practice. So it'd be interesting to know. I think this is a good opportunity to let those guys play more and play some meaningful minutes. What was going to happen? Penn State was going to hit some more layups or more three-pointers if they're open. They were open anyways. Why don't you play the bench guys and let them get some experience? Oh, a terrible blowout loss. At least Penn State did this on their day where they're doing their promo of fighting childhood cancer, so kudos to that, Penn State. The crowd looked really into it, all those shirts, really cool on that. So that's the fun of sports, right, where you can unite like that and try to raise funds to fight causes like that. It's really cool when they do that in sports, no doubt about that. Hey, if you stayed this long, thanks so much to listen to my rambling rant and sighing about Michigan's terrible basketball game. Another one to add to the mix. This one, I don't know, was this? Yeah, I would say this wasn't as worse as losing to Central Michigan. No. Because back then, you still thought Michigan might be decent, and but one of the worst losses of the season, losing by 22 points at Penn State. Hey, thanks for watching. As always, let me know in the comments below of what your thoughts are. Again, if you were the coach, which would you have done? Kept playing the starters or go to the bench? Let me know. Thanks for watching, and as always, man, go blue.